The morning sun poured through the wide glass windows of the supermarket, bright and unforgiving, as if the world had decided to expose every silent struggle at once. Between neatly stacked shelves and the hum of shopping carts, a single father stood counting coins in his palm, unaware that this ordinary moment would shatter the course of his life. He was tired, worn down by responsibility, and carrying more weight than any man should alone. And somewhere behind dark sunglasses, a powerful woman watched him with a gaze sharp enough to change destinies. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and stories that heal the heart, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Kindness Touch. Your support keeps stories like this alive. Ariz Halim had not imagined his life turning into a series of careful calculations. At 34, his world revolved around his 6-year-old daughter, Inaya, whose small hand often clutched his finger like an anchor. The supermarket visit was part of a strict routine. He came during the day because mornings were cheaper and quieter, and because after school hours were reserved for helping Inaya with homework and listening to her stories about clouds shaped like animals. Ariz wore a faded blue shirt and jeans that had seen better years. His hair was neatly trimmed, not for vanity but because he believed dignity mattered, even when money was scarce. Since his wife had passed away 3 years earlier, illness stealing her breath slowly and cruelly, Ariz had learned to survive without complaint. He worked as a junior logistics supervisor at a mid-sized firm, a job that barely covered rent, food, and school fees, but he was grateful because gratitude was cheaper than despair. That morning, he stood by the dairy section, comparing prices with a seriousness that felt out of place in such a mundane setting. Inaya sat in the cart, swinging her legs, humming softly. Ariz calculated whether he could afford the brand she liked or if he would have to settle for something cheaper. His fingers trembled slightly, not from weakness but from the constant pressure of being the only shield between his child and the world. Across the aisle, Serena Valenwood moved through the supermarket with effortless authority. She was 40, a self-made billionaire CEO whose name appeared regularly on business magazine covers. Her tailored cream blazer, sleek trousers, and understated watch spoke of wealth without shouting. Serena had built an empire in renewable energy, rising from a childhood marked by neglect and ambition sharpened by pain. She shopped during the day because her schedule was ruthless, and these stolen moments of normalcy grounded her. Yet even surrounded by abundance, she often felt hollow, disconnected from ordinary lives she claimed to improve through corporate missions. Serena noticed Ariz not because of his clothes or his hesitation, but because of the way he looked at his daughter. There was something raw and unfiltered in his expression, a mix of fear, devotion, and quiet pride. It stirred something uncomfortable in her chest. She had seen countless men in boardrooms, confident and loud, but none carried themselves with this kind of restrained love. She slowed her pace, watching as Ariz gently adjusted Inaya's sweater and smiled at her, a smile that seemed practiced to hide exhaustion. At the checkout counter, the moment stretched painfully. Ariz placed items one by one, aware of the growing line behind him. When the total flashed on the screen, his heart sank. It was more than he had calculated. He removed one item, then another, apologizing with his eyes to his daughter. Inaya did not complain. She simply nodded, trusting him completely. That trust cut deeper than any insult ever could. Serena stood in the adjacent line, her groceries barely a concern. She observed the scene with an intensity that surprised even her. Memories she had buried surfaced uninvited. Her own father, absent and indifferent. Her mother, always choosing survival over affection. She had sworn never to depend on anyone, never to be vulnerable. Yet here she was, feeling the pull of someone else's struggle. Fate, it seemed, was impatient. Ariz's phone buzzed just as he paid. The message was from his office. A sudden restructuring, his position under review. He felt the floor tilt beneath him. Losing his job would mean losing everything. He kept his face neutral, refusing to let panic show in front of Inaya. He pushed the cart forward, stepping into the bright afternoon light outside, unaware that Serena had followed him with deliberate intent. In the parking lot, Serena approached him, her presence commanding yet strangely hesitant. She had not planned what to do or say. Power had always guided her decisions, but this felt different. Aries looked up, startled, instinctively pulling Inaya closer. Serena introduced herself briefly, her name alone carrying weight. She spoke of opportunities, of observing him, of a proposition that sounded unreal. She explained that she owned the company connected to his employer, that his job was indeed on the line, and that she could save it. The condition was unexpected and morally complex. She wanted him to pretend to be her boyfriend for a limited time. A public arrangement to satisfy investors and board members, pressuring her to present a stable personal image. Aries listened, stunned. The humiliation burned, but the fear of unemployment burned hotter. He thought of rent due in 2 weeks, of Inaya's school uniform needing replacement, of promises he had made to protect her. Pride felt like a luxury he could no longer afford. He agreed, not because he wanted to, but because survival demanded sacrifice. The days that followed were surreal. Aries was introduced into a world of glass towers, luxury cars, and carefully curated appearances. During the day they attended charity events, corporate lunches, and public engagements bathed in sunlight and camera flashes. Serena coached him subtly, teaching him how to navigate attention without losing himself. Aries, in return, brought something she had forgotten existed. He brought sincerity. He spoke to staff with respect, noticed janitors, thanked assistants. He treated Serena not as a billionaire, but as a person, and that unsettled her more than any boardroom challenge. Inaya became an unexpected bridge between them. Serena found herself scheduling meetings around school pickups, listening to stories about spelling tests and playground victories. Daytime afternoons, once filled with strategy sessions, were now shared with quiet walks and ice cream under the sun. Serena felt cracks forming in the armor she had built over decades. Yet the arrangement was not without pain. Aries struggled with the unspoken judgment of colleagues and strangers who assumed he was using Serena. He endured whispers and looks, all while trying to remain present for his daughter. Serena, too, faced internal conflict. She questioned her motives, her ethics, and whether she was exploiting vulnerability for her own gain. The power imbalance haunted her sleepless nights. The turning point came during a public charity gala held in broad daylight, an event meant to showcase Serena's philanthropic side. As she stood beside Aries, cameras flashing, she saw him tense when a reporter questioned his intentions. In that moment, she realized the cost he was paying. The arrangement that had begun as a calculated move had grown into something dangerously real. Serena made a decision that would redefine her. She publicly acknowledged Aries' integrity, his role as a devoted father, and his independence. She announced changes within her company to protect employees from sudden terminations inspired by his situation. The crowd applauded, but the real shift happened quietly between them. Power gave way to respect. As the sun dipped lower that day, casting long shadows across the city, Serena released Aries from the agreement. She restored his job without conditions, offering support without strings. Aries felt a weight lift from his chest, replaced by something fragile and hopeful. He thanked her, not with grand gestures but with honesty. Near the end of this journey, when everything seemed to settle into place, Serena realized she no longer wanted control, she wanted connection. Aries realized he was no longer afraid to hope. Their story did not end with a dramatic confession, but with a shared understanding built in daylight, through acts of kindness and mutual growth. If this story touched your heart, reminded you of the power of empathy, or made you believe that kindness can change lives, please take a moment now to like, comment, and share this video. Your engagement means more than you know. Before the ending, we have one special request.